Hello, this is a presentation on the American Society of Public Administration creating a personal ethics training program, and the presentation is by Michael Albert, Diana Isayan, John Popovich, and Hovig Chagaspanian. The American Society for Public Administration, also known as ASPA, is a membership organization which provides public administrators knowledge, support, and resources to expand their knowledge within the field of public administration. ASPA promotes studies and conferences and training for its members to ultimately become better public administrators and provide better support and services for the public whom which they serve. Public administrators play an important role in government and the public sector, along with the larger framework of society as a whole. The public relies upon government services ranging from law enforcement for public safety, building inspections to ensure construction standards are met on new buildings, to testing water and food supplies which will be consumed by the citizens, just to name a few. The public places its trust in the public administrator to responsibly expend public resources in the best interest of the public at large. The large amount of trust placed upon the public administrator requires an individual to have a strong sense of personal and ethical decision-making skills. We had previously discussed the importance of personal ethics in the mindset of a public administrator who is entrusted with the collective of public resources. As an organization dedicated to serving public sector professionals, ASPA has its own code of ethics, which serve as an example to the community. We realize that ethics is not something which can be taught by a single document or training session. However, we do see an opportunity for ASPA to expand on and improve their own code of ethics and begin to build a training program for its members to become more ethically inclined public administrators. The idea of building an ongoing educational and certification program for ASPA members will help make a positive impact throughout the membership and the constituents which they serve.
Ethics is fundamental in the workplace, and having a thorough understanding of how the mind affects individuals' decision-making is essential. Emotional intelligence is within each of us and is our ability to understand emotions. This is a critical subject when it comes to ethics training because individuals can perceive the training in a different way, which is dependent on their varying levels of awareness. Our training program aims to allow individuals the ability to relate fundamental ethics concepts in their own way, ultimately reaching the same outcome. By incorporating these aspects into ethics training, individuals will have a better understanding of how their own experiences and thinking may affect their ethical decision-making. In order to better understand the mind, we must have a basic understanding of how the mind forms memories. Memories are assembled from layers of schemas, which are built from our impressions and perceptions of our life experiences. If an experience matches up with a previous layer of schema, it will merge and form another layer to that pre-existing schema. Having a solid understanding of this material is essential, as schemas are the basis for our conscious reasoning. They impact the way we respond to the environment around us and thus are important to understand when dealing with an ethics training program. Training the public professional to manage their memories will help free them to make decisions that are more ethical in nature. The section of the brain believed to house our consciousness is in the brainstem, neocortex, and limbic sections of the brain. Plasticity allows our minds to connect all the functions that make it possible for us to perform different tasks. Memes are the brain's way of remembering complex ideas through the process of creating memorable units. Understanding these aspects of the mind can help an individual become more selfless. It is critical that ASPA take into consideration the aforementioned factors which comprise the science behind the psyche. These considerations will provide a large positive impact in making effective and meaningful ethics frameworks.
Hi, this is Diana Isayan, and I'm going to talk about ASPA's creating personal ethics, ethical values, ethical training and reasoning, ethical development. The ASPA Code of Ethics provides insights into the various elements that professionals in the field of public administration can use to become ethical public administrators. The Code of Ethics is committed to increase awareness and the professional spirit of ASPA members. Some of the critical aspects in public administration which professionals should understand are related to ethical values, ethical training and reasoning, and ethical development. The fundamental principles are required at all stages of individual engagement with the public as the administrator. Ethical values. Public administrators should embrace the value of social responsibility by avoiding a selfless devotion to their work. They should be steward and servant of public by prioritizing their welfare over any personal interest. The values that public administrators are recommended to embrace are related to human dignity, justice, and human rights. This will increase employee self-worth and motivation that will ultimately benefit society through increased productivity. Ethical training and reasoning. Ethical training and reasoning are a critical part of public administrators' work. A professional in the field who wants to build their own personal code needs to know how to identify and avoid emotional and logical fallacies. Emotional fallacies occur when public officials are overcome with their own emotions to the extent that they are unable to make rational decisions. It is essentially important to improve self-awareness and self-control in order to achieve emotional stability. Public administrators should also avoid logical fallacies where they may use arguments that are not related to the issue at hand in order to win an argument. While avoiding fallacies, public administrators should focus on building essential humility, courage, empathy, integrity, and autonomy amongst others. Ethical development. Ethical development is a process that progresses gradually from the pre-conventional level to the post-conventional stage. These stages provide a summary of Kohlberg's stage of moral development that are important in guiding an individual toward moral maturity. During the pre-conventional stage, administrators need to comply with government laws and regulations to avoid sanctions and punishment. This leads to the conventional stage where professionals in the field become sensitive to other people's needs. At this stage, public administrators realize that they have to fulfill duties and obligations that are required of them by the social system. The post-conventional stage occurs when people realize the complex nature of the decision-making process. Thus, they develop and follow universal principles of justice and human rights irrespective of other people's expectations.
Thank you, everyone. Before we begin talking about the training program, I'd like to talk a bit about expanding the current ethical codes. The 8 principles outlined by the ASPA Code of Ethics are solid, and they represent the current focus on ethics in the public arena. As our report outlines, people approach ethical thinking in a variety of ways, depending on where they are on the Kohlberg and Gillian's developmental scale. The current Code of Ethics can be assimilated and adhered to by individuals representing the full span of individual ethical development, and are clearly designed with the consequential ethical theories ascribed to by Kant in mind. And they're designed to ensure that the public professional stays out of the type of trouble that unethical conduct can get you into. However, after reviewing the code and considering how to build a better public administrator, we felt it was prudent to recommend the code be amended to reflect a more virtuous ethical code. The team feels that if we are to be building the best public administrator we can, then we need to go a step beyond the consequential ethical theories and focus on building the type of administrator that will make decisions based on critical analysis of data, employing the wisdom of experience, and focused on the 2 additional virtuous ethical principles of fairness and compassion. Acting with fairness and compassion, each action must be looked at from the context of acting in a benevolent manner based on societal values. In essence, first do no harm, then help all. On top of this, we have added the ethical expectation that every professional must model the behavior in all of their dealings, whether they be with the public or with their peers. We feel that the addition of these 3 principles will advance the goals of ASPA in ethical conduct. Let's turn our focus to a brief overview of the training program we've outlined in our proposal. We've designed a training course that consists of 7 core modules that can be covered in 1 all-day training session or 7 1.5-hour sessions. We'll talk a little bit about delivery in a moment. The 7 core modules are designed to provide the public professional with the knowledge and skills necessary to become a better public administrator that not only adheres to the expanded ASPA Code of Ethics we've recommended, but lives and breathes that code. We begin our training with an overview of how the mind works. We feel this is critical to understanding how each of us has become the person we are, and how our past experiences have influenced how we react to our environment. Once we understand why we react the way we do, we can learn to reprogram our mind to act more ethically. We focus on emotional intelligence because it's critical to being able to understand, interact, and communicate with others. If we are to act with fairness, compassion, treat each other with respect, and act from a place of benevolence, we have to recognize emotions of others and master our own. Critical thinking is a foundation of our ethical model. Understanding how the mind works and the role emotions play, we want to ensure that the public administrator has the ability to think critically, apply the wisdom of experience, and reprogram the memory-based instructions that have built up over time so that they can act in a more ethical nature. We feel a good foundation in ethical theory is important so that the public professional has confidence that what they are learning is based on ethical science. This includes a close look at Kant, Kohlberg, Gillen, Bantham, Bailey, and Appleby, which our recommendations are based on. We'll spend some time looking at the expanded ASPA Code and how to apply the ASPA Code in real-world situations. Finally, we'll wrap up our training by focusing on personal ethics and some of the theories and steps one can take to build and continually improve their own personal code of ethics. ASPA is a national organization with members throughout the states. In addition, the organization has numerous subchapters that are locally focused and narrowly focused on specific areas of public administration. This makes reaching the ASPA membership challenging. Our team felt what was needed was a program that could survive across delivery methods, be accessible to members in a manner that they choose, in person or online. Ethics is not something that you discuss once and then move on, never to revisit again. We have spent quite a bit of time in our proposal discussing the continued evolution of individual ethical thinking. In order to keep that ethical development in the forefront, we recommend creating a certification program based on our proposal. Once certified, members would be expected to complete a minimum number of hours of ethical training on an annual basis. This can be a retaking of the certification classes, participation in ethical discussion groups at your conferences, or other approved training selected by the committee. In addition to the theory and science we proposed, we have included elements of real-world examples, stories, and role-playing. It's critical that we be able to relate what we teach to our clients. The use of stories that are true but presented in engaging and thoughtful ways with appropriate discussion is vital in this area. We also believe that our training sessions must be designed in an interactive and engaging manner. Whether they are online or in person, they will contain multimedia aspects and the use of music and memes to help members retain what they learn. We want to take use of the mind's ability to relate music to emotion and memory, and to make sure that the mind's ability to remember based on means is accounted for. This program can be refreshed on an annual basis to keep the examples relevant and be available online for all members to take, as well as one-day training sessions held at the conferences.
As seen throughout the presentation, the existing ASPA Code of Ethics was expanded upon to encourage ASPA members to a higher level of ethical thinking by including principles which relate to virtue ethics. In addition, an online-based training program was developed with inspiration from techniques on how to provide an effective and lasting training curriculum. The training does not simply review the Code of Ethics for an organization. It expands on this by providing students with a foundational background on personal ethics and decision-making from both a psychological and principle-based framework. The training includes the basic principles and theories on answering the question of why, along with scenarios-based training upon which students draw from the shared experiences of others. The added component of ongoing educational requirements for a certification program adds value to the training program, as personal ethics is not something which can be built in a single day or training session. The continuous and ongoing nature of expanding ethics knowledge and awareness is captured in the training program. We hope you find our personal ethics training program and information helpful and beneficial for ASPA. Thank you very much.